Hi, I'm Jamie.
I'm Jen.
Welcome to our podcast, All Things Unbroken.
Life breaks us in ways we never expect, but God rebuilds us in ways we could never imagine.
So come hang with us as we talk about relationships, motherhood, wellness, grief, recovery,
and the slow, beautiful process of becoming unbroken.
Hi, cousin.
Hello, cousin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Full on summer, girl.
Yeah, it's hot and muggy.
Oh my gosh, it's so much.
And it feels more exhausting than school, sadly, but I'm not trying to complain either.
No, it's here. You got to go on a beautiful vacation. I got through graduation season of things. We both got our kids finished with school. And I think you said it best when we were texting or messaging earlier. And you said, by the time we get summer figured out, it's going to be the end of it.
Mm-hmm. It does feel like that. Yeah.
So, like, I really took that in consideration today as I wrote down my daughter's, like, you did your bucket list. I was like, we're going to do one today too. I'm like, we're going to do this. Like, let's try this, but also not be
Yeah.
stressed out if all we do is go to lake and swim and read a book every once in a while. Like, that's okay.
Yeah. I think it's nice to have a little bit of a plan, but I think I'm trying to convince myself, like, just be kind of flexible, prioritize, and then be present with the kids. It's going to be
Okay,
okay.
let's
Every day
yes.
might be different.
Every day is going to be different, right?
It's a gift.
It's
Just remind yourself it's a gift.
How are you doing though?
You love me. I'm
I do
good.
love
I'm
you.
good. We did go to Colorado. We were in a beautiful tiny mountain town. It was so nice. We were there for, I think, 5 days total. Rode ATVs all over the trails, all the things. So beautiful. Very little Wi-Fi connection, which was nice. And then I got home. And then it was muggy in Oklahoma. And I don't want to be here. I told my husband, let's just pack up and leave. And he's like, okay.
But it
uh,
was a good trip. It was a
if
refreshing trip.
only.
Like it was
Yeah.
good family time, right?
It was so nice. It was so
Good.
nice. It's one of those little like mountain town communities where there's like one general store and like people just move in for the summer, a lot of them, and then they leave and just very cool community and a lot of history, a lot of beautiful scenery. Um, yeah, it was great.
Love
Family
it.
time. My parents came with us and we had a great time. Even Dougal came with us. And I
I
put him
love
in the
it.
I don't know if I showed you a picture, but I put him in the razor in the passenger seat.
Oh,
And I buckled him up with the thing and I drove him up the mountain. And at first he was just kind of looking at me. And then by the time we came back, he had like perfectly situated himself in the seat where he was kind of like bracing, but he
oh,
was kind of chill. And when we got back, he kind of like didn't want to get out because he was looking at me like, we can't stop now, mom. Let's go.
I love that.
It
And
was
I'm
so
glad that
funny.
you got to start your summer with the family vacation and it
Yeah.
started fresh. That's kind of a nice feeling, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's as good as it's going to get.
That's okay.
Yeah, it was great. We needed it. All right. Tell me about yours.
You're supposed switch. I'm good. It's busy. It's been a busy May. It's been a busy
Yeah.
May. Um, Niece graduated college. One of my husband's uh, cousins graduated high school. We have another family friend that graduated, and so we did lots of celebrations. Obviously, my little one is out of pre-K now, and we were
Mm.
full on in. We had a birthday celebration for her, and our birthday celebrations tend to be kind of big because we have land, and so you invite all the people on the land, and it's also for the grown-ups. So it's not just like a little kid where you go over in the gym. It's like for the grown-ups. The grown-ups come and family stays. We do get food, got a little bounce house, had a little water slide thing. Um, and
That
so
was not a
here we
little
are.
bounce house, by the
It
way.
was
That
it
was a
was a good
massive
bounce
bounce
house. It
house.
is. It is. It was a little, oh yeah, I showed you a picture of it. It was a water slide one. But we do it because it's like, I don't know, like I go to so many birthdays and they're so cute and they're so fun, but I'm always also like,
Hmm.
I want the adults to have fun too. Like so
Yeah.
we make it like bring your ice chest, bring your lawn chair, come hang
Yeah.
out.
You
I know
guys
you
are
guys are
very good,
busy.
like at socializing and hosting and things like that.
we try. Over the last few years, I know that with just things and kind of like even with some of my depression and stuff, it's been harder. So like
Mm.
what I've really enjoyed this season is I'm actually kind of starting to enjoy it again. Like this is the first like year, and I'm about to be
Yeah.
43, but like this is the first year that I have not been, and we'll go into this probably today, but maybe or next time, like I have not been either pregnant, postpartum, or losing a baby, delivering a baby, like all the things. Like this is like the first whole year
Mm,
in 5 years that I've like, but I mean, just been able to kind of level
yeah.
out and not be depressed. And I'm really embracing it. It's been kind of nice to let that go. That was kind of deep. Just
Yeah.
jump in there.
No, it's okay. Does it feel like the clouds have like rolled away? Like everything's
You
kind of
know,
leveling back out as much as can be expected?
I think so. And it's kind of
Good.
interesting because, May was mental health awareness month, which I know we kind of spoke about a little. And also, May was when my last daughter that we lost, she was born early. It would have been her first birthday this last week. And
What was the date? What was her birthday?
well, she wasn't technically due until like the 1st of June, but since I have complications and things, she would have actually
Okay.
been born probably the last week of May. So probably come like 10 days
Okay.
early. Of course, I say that. And my other daughter, our miracle baby, she's here. She came a month early. So who knows? But
Yeah.
the reason I'm saying that is because it was kind of neat to be able to celebrate, you know, our oldest daughter and also just kind of remember my youngest one at the same time. And I also didn't have, like you said, that cloud over it. And that
Mm,
has been part of also why we did this podcast where it came is because I've become unbroken, I would say, in the last year and a half, couple years with that. So I guess, yeah,
it was beautiful.
yeah. So, anyways,
Beautiful. Well, I know, like you said, we'll probably get into that to the next one, but feel free to share anything you want. And thank you for sharing.
yeah, it's all part of the story. Yeah. So, and we can maybe start there. Like I mean, part of the reason this podcast is because of the last like 5 years, I think. And really, we're kind of at that part of my story, really, because we talked about moving here. I think that's where we ended. The last one is whenever I decided to move to Texas for my job,
Hmm.
met Alex,
Yes.
my husband.
Yes.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So, you want to start, Jamie? What do you want to
I
know?
mean, yeah. So timeline wise, we definitely ended right about you moved to Dallas. You talked a little bit about how you met your husband. It was like this meet cute
Mm,
thing with the dogs and all of that. But then we
mhm,
also kind of went into some dynamics of just like growing up, probably because we're like Bible Belt children, maybe like growing up, like knowing the Lord and having a faith, but also having struggles and
mhm,
still being like tethered to God and tethered to our faith, but
mhm.
also not being perfect and sometimes not making good choices. So, did you want to talk about that a little bit more? Or do you want to go into the timeline?
I mean, it's totally up to you. I think that we could go either way. One thing I know that we talked about that I kind of wanted to emphasize is, you tell the story, we tell our testimonies, and then it's like, oh, and then here we are. I've been married for 7 years. I've been with my husband for 10 years. We live on this land now. We moved out here in the country and have this daughter and these animals. And here we are. It's beautiful, right? But we don't talk about the struggles in that and like where that came from. And also the decision to move here. You paint this picture, like I painted this picture, like, oh, I joined this I did that program. And it was like I said that I wanted to be able to live on my own, have my own apartment, support myself, got my dream job I got a promotion, all the things. That sounds amazing. But also with that, there were struggles that I also dealt with and was lonely and was afraid I made the wrong decision. And, looking back,
Mm,
it's really pretty, but I also didn't want to paint the picture like you push a button and here we are. That's kind of what we were like talking about a little
right.
bit. Um, so yeah, I mean, I guess we can continue on a little of just life. I've met my husband about 4 months after living here. And at the time, I had been working with NAMI. It was NAMI Dallas at the time. Now it's called NAMI North Texas. And I'd come up with the idea to have the first ever mental health awareness half marathon. So when I met him, I was working on that project and working full time. And so I was full on into like the mental health advocacy. And the reason that I chose this race is because there had not been a mental health half marathon anywhere in the United States. So when I came to
Wow.
Dallas, I went to this organization. I like wrote them an email and I was like, hey, what about this? And they said yes. And we created the first ever race. So there's that. And at that time, I was really passionate because, my mom had died of suicide. And I was really passionate about sharing her story. And that's also part of one of the first times you and I connected again. You came for the race. Um,
Yeah.
so I was really working. That was my passion project for many years until after I had my daughter, my first daughter. Um, so my husband was kind of interesting because he'll tell you when I first met him, I was an open book. I was like, I had been married before. This is the relationship. My parents are both gone. Mom's suicide, dad died in an accident, like all the things, just like rapid fire, like this is who we are. In fact, I think I mentioned in the last one that when I met him, I was actually trying to get him to date one of my friends that was visiting from Florida. And they were like,
Hmm.
no, because he was younger than me. But we'll fast forward through there because obviously we ended up together. And it was
You're
kind
not
of
going to
just,
tell us the moment when you were finally like, okay, yeah, I like this
I
guy.
don't know if there was like a moment. It was pretty quick. It was pretty quick. I remember I was like invited into like the dog park and finally I mean, he's 6 years younger than me, which isn't that much, but he was 27 and I was 33 and had been married and divorced. And I was like, I don't know, most not to offend anyone, but I would say that a lot of guys don't really mature. Well, until they're like in their 30s, they say there was like that
Mhm.
that thing. I was like, but I remember he told me because I was actually talking to someone else, and he was like, not to step on any toes. If there's anywhere, if there's anything that anywhere you ever want to eat, like I would take you wherever you want to go, or something corny like that. He was just a gentleman, though. But what got him is I wasn't like a city girl like he thought. When he first saw me, I think I was very, I don't know, I was probably going out or something, wearing my heels and whatever. But
Yeah.
to be real, when he found out that I like country music and I drank Miller Lite, he was like, "Oh, okay. Like you're an Oklahoma girl. Like you're." That's what got him. He was
Yeah.
like, "I'm really laid back, right? Like I don't know."
Yeah.
Um, but we hit it off pretty well. Like I think there was just a connection. Like something was different about him. And not to say that I did not try to run away from him a lot in the beginning. Picking fights. It was hard. He actually, within the first few months, he broke up with me once for a few days. And my best friend told him that is the best decision that he ever did because it woke me up. And since then, we've been together. We have been together, it'll be 10 years this fall. We've been together and we've been married we said our seventh anniversary this last February.
Mm,
So we're opposite too. We're the
I love
same.
it.
We're both very social beings. We're also very opposite. He's very like he's very stable. Not that I'm not stable. That sounded weird. But he's just like, I don't really know how to explain it. He's just like,
He's
he
kind of the
knows,
steady to your
there you
like,
go. The calm
yeah.
to my storm.
Yeah. I love it.
So anyway, moving on from that. But so yeah,
You're
we
not
dated.
unstable.
Not unstable. I mean, maybe. Um, we dated for 2 years. And then we got engaged. We actually won a trip in Mexico, and I was, 35, and I was kind of like, what's happening? Are we going to get married? Are we not? Like, whatever. Um, and we were in Mexico. It was October. He asked me to marry him. Um, and then we literally came back and we went back to Mexico and got married in February. And it was
Nice.
kind of funny because we invited all these people. They're like, oh, they won't come. And like literally we had over like 50 or 60 people that showed back up in Mexico with us like literally 4 months later. It was
That's
it
awesome.
was fun. It was fun. Um, yeah, so there's that. So we've been together and we we had a house together in like a little country club community. We like redid the whole thing. I should have known back then what our lives would be like because we literally redid the kitchen like ourselves, all the things.
Hmm.
He had two dogs, I had two dogs, so we had four dogs together. Um, we're just living life. Pretty soon after we uh we got married, like we decided we were going to have kids. I will pause there because I will say when we first got together, that was kind of something we had to have a conversation about because I wasn't really sure, first of all, if I could have kids. And then second, I wasn't really sure if I necessarily wanted to have any children of my own at that point. Um, I think when I was younger, there was a point where I kind of thought I'd grow up and like have kids and get married. But then as I got kind of older, not that I was older, but like in my mid 30s, I was like, I don't really know. I really love my life. I love my job. I love my career, all the things. And there was a time also in my late 20s that some things had happened and it kind of looked like I had to go for some appointments and to be checked out because they're like, you may not be able to. There's a whole kind of thing there. Anyways,
Mm.
so that was a discussion. And anyone listening, if they ever have that conversation, it's a very important conversation to have because I also know people that don't have that conversation and get married and it's a whole thing. So, anyways,
Oh yeah.
um, we before that happened, we decided I'm like, you know what? Yes, let's at least like try when we get married, whatever. So I was, gosh, 36, I guess I was 36 when I got married. Um, and the struggles kind of started from there as far as like conceiving. And I had to go to specialists, I had to go to the doctor. Um, they call it a geriatric pregnancy when you're 36, by the way. It's such a lovely word. But I did all the
They have
things.
got to do something about
I
that. I
know,
don't I
I
don't
know.
think it helps women at all to be
Well,
told you're
then
geriatric in your
in
30s.
your third, and then also on top of that, like I had met I have a pelvis issue too, so I'm literally like I'm just
Yeah.
like falling apart. I'm just already 36. I'm just kidding. Um, so from there, I would say I'm not the struggle started, but the realization of like maybe we wouldn't, and also it was kind of like a part of me was also really nervous because I know that he really wanted kids, and so there was a conversation pretty early on, probably about after a year where I was like, hey, like, what if this doesn't happen? Are we gonna like what do we do? And I remember very, very vividly, like, hey, like he looked at me, he's like, I love you no matter what, whether we have kids or not, like biologically or even adopting, he's like, it's fine. Like we all basically it was like he wanted to know that we, tried. And then I was literally gonna be okay if we were just us, whatever. Um, so
Mm.
anyways, so we tried like a year and a half and that's pretty exhausting. If anyone, I don't know, it's really exhausting to go to the doctor, go to specialist, take the pills. We weren't to the step of like in vitro yet or IUI or anything, but it was definitely like I had to get the shot and the things. And finally, at some point, we're like, hey, let's just take a break. In the middle of like, I think the second year that we were married or something, um, we had bought this little property up north, about 31 acres, raw land, just to kind of have. It was also during COVID, so everything was kind of cheaper. So we bought this property. And my husband and I are kind of dreamers a little bit, but we're also like, we like to try new things and just go for things. And obviously, redoing a house together, moving in, getting married in 4 months in Mexico, like all that kind of points to that direction too. But
Hmm.
we were like, what if we just like sold our house, got a camper, moved to this land, and built a little barndominium studio. So we bought a brand new camper, bought a brand new truck, put our house up for sale. He also, that's the same year that we had a trip planned to go to Colorado, speaking of Colorado, and do elk hunting thing and whatever. We were also in the middle of planning like our third half marathon for the Don't Quit Foundation at the time, or sorry, for NAMI at the time. Anyways, um, and both working full time. Solar house really quick. This is back in 2020, so houses were the market was just incredible. We had redone the whole house basically, just as far as like painting, upgrading a couple things. And 10 days after we sold, after we signed the papers, I found out I was pregnant. And
And you just
so
sold your nest and you're moving into a camper.
we were like, and I'm going to say a little pause in between like the struggle of like getting pregnant before. We did have a very early loss, and I'm
Mhm.
not pausing too long there, but I will say it was like it just kept, oh, we are, you're not, you are, you're not. It's like a whole thing. It was just it's very
Yeah.
draining to go through that. And I know people do.
Yeah.
I only did it for a year and a half. People do that for years. And if someone is listening that has gone through that, I'm so sorry. Like it is exhausting and it is draining and you get your hopes up and like it is not something I would wish on anybody to struggle with. So anyway, so we found out I was pregnant, and it was actually like right before the half marathon for the Don't Quit race. And I ran my race. It was like, it was all virtual, but I did that. And we had this decision to make though. Like, okay, so we just made pretty good amount of money on this, house. We were in this great neighborhood, which I love. One of the people that I just graduated actually like it's in that neighborhood, families around, golf course community, cul-de-sac, like your dream that you'd be in when you have kids, just to run around and go up
Mhm.
to the golf course or go to each other's houses in a little neighborhood, like literally dream for anyone that
Yeah.
has kids, in fact. But, or do we do this? We had a choice. And obviously, not obviously, we made the choice that we're going to go ahead and move to this raw land, this raw 30-acre land in a camper with our 4 dogs. And I was pregnant and we're both working from home and there's no running water and there's no internet. There's nothing here. So we can just pause there and imagine that life for a second, because I did have some people back then that thought we were crazy. Like they literally were like, what are you doing? What would you have
I
thought
love
then if
it.
I told you? Would you have thought I was crazy?
Oh, well, no, because here's the thing. I'm pretty sure you did tell me. And I was like, you're living my dream and you're a city girl, and I'm over here living in the suburbs with my family, and you're literally living my dream.
I
What
don't
has
think we were
happened?
talking then though. No, I don't.
Maybe
Maybe
I
I
saw it
probably
on your
posted it.
Facebook or
I did.
something.
I
Yeah.
started like posting.
And I was like,
Yes.
Jennifer, really?
And
I know I told you that
I,
eventually. I was like, you're
yes,
living my dream,
I
jerk.
know. I know.
Just kidding.
You love me for it. You're like, go. And
I
I'm
do.
literally, but even for what I've described, like, this is not like I am fully in my career. And yes, it was COVID. And yes, we were all but and also that's what made us move. It's like, it's COVID. You're all home. It's like, why not do this? But that is what I will say. And this was, I guess 6 years ago. It'll be 6 years ago in October since we've been like living here. Um, we actually got the land about 6 years ago this summer time. But anyway, I started learning how to pivot. I think before this, I learned how to pivot with the other happenings in my life, losing mom and dad and those things, right? But this is when I
Yeah.
started learning how to pivot by my own choices, like the choices that we make and like the decisions. I started learning
Mhm.
how. Um, and I will say, moving out here and some of the things we've had to deal with and face, as far as even like, we didn't have running water for 2 weeks. That was something.
Yeah.
We want a generator out here for like 2 months. And remember, I was pregnant, both working from home from a camper. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but I will also say during these moments and these times were some of the most peaceful times of my whole entire life, because we were
Mhm.
on this, property with our dogs, watching our barn get built. Also, we had to pivot because whenever we moved here, it was just gonna be a 1 bedroom little apartment studio. We're like, okay, where are we putting this baby? So we had to like adjust. We just put a nook in our bedroom, by the way. But there was also a time we had moved out here, getting settled, and pretty early on that we thought I started bleeding. And
Mm.
I was still kind of running because I really wanted to honestly be that woman who like was pregnant and like, people were like run half marathons and races. Like I still wanted to keep running and stuff, right? Um, but obviously some things were happening. And I remember, and I was going to tell this story because it's kind of my first like story where I like thought that it was really scary. I started like bleeding and I was probably about 7 weeks or so. And
Mhm.
when I first went into the doctor, because if you're a geriatric pregnancy, they get you in pretty quick. They want to start seeing you as soon as you find out you're pregnant, basically. Like, normal pregnancies, you're not going to go into your like 8 weeks or whatever, right? And so and also I've been seeing the specialist. When I went in and they did the first ultrasound, they said, okay, either you are early or the baby is struggling. from what they saw. Like they, whatever. So that happened. And then a couple weeks later, I started bleeding and I didn't know the difference. It was a whole thing. And so I called the doctor, like, okay, I was going the next week. And I remember this is the first time that I remember like getting on my knees and praying for like something like for
Mm.
this baby. And I remember my husband, because I told him, and now what I know now, like I wouldn't have worried then because now I know what it is a child loss is, what that is, like miscarriages. But I was like, it was just not, it was a very like intense, like week, I guess. And we drove for my appointment. It was still during COVID, so he could not go into the doctor with me for like only
Oh,
for certain things. So he pulled
yeah.
up, and this is maybe TMI, so we can edit it out if it is. But we went to the doctor. It was like a week later. I was still kind of bleeding, whatever. And when I went in, it was getting heavier and heavier. And I remember going to the bathroom and I remember like crying. And I remember calling, my husband and being like, hey, like, I don't think I'm not pregnant, and he was in the truck. And I went to the nurse and I
Mm.
was like, hey, like, I'm pretty sure we lost the baby. I'm pretty sure like the baby's gone, whatever. She's like, well, let's just go do the ultrasound just to see. And we did it and there was a heartbeat. And I remember FaceTiming him and us being like so emotional. And like, I thanked God so much at that moment. Like, I remember it makes me emotional thinking about it because I really thought we lost her. So what ended up having, I had to call it subchorionic hemorrhaging. So a little percent
Mm.
of women have it. And of course, I was one of them for
Uh,
basically any like heavy physical activity will cause you to like bleed. So I had to stop running for my pregnancy. I could still like lift weights, I could walk, but I could not run anymore. I could, but it was like not advised to do that. So obviously I stopped.
yeah.
Um, so that was kind of my first scare and my first time that I really remember the first of many of 5 years later that I remember like praying a lot. So, anyways, so there's that. So then you move on, pregnant, Jen walking out here. It rained so much that year in 2021. I don't know if you remember that. Oh my gosh, it was raining so much. We were in a camper with my four dogs, both
Hmm.
working from home, doing the things. Barndominium got stalled many times because it was too wet for them to build on. If anyone knows how to build houses, the whole thing, it kept just being pushed back, being pushed back. You're like watching, it's like watching a microwave or something where you can like see it get built. But we were picking up
Hmm.
sticks, we were doing the work. It was just, it was 7 months of this. And it was also like really peaceful because like it was during COVID. Like who's gonna, like what else are you gonna be doing, right?
Yeah.
Um, she ended up coming early, like a month early. We were already going to have her 10 days early because of complications from my accident. So basically,
Mm.
the doctor I have known since the accident, like I would never be able well, supposedly be able to deliver a child, that I would have to have a C-section. So I already known that for years. But I ended up going into labor early. And what's so crazy about that is since I was geriatric pregnancy, I was going like every other week and getting ultrasounds. And the day that the last one that I got was like the day that she came, basically. And I went to the doctor. I also, by the way, my doctor was like an hour in town. So driving back and forth. But the day that it happened, I remember going in the ultrasound. I remember them, it was like we had another month and they were like, oh, it's so weird. Like she turned and looked at the camera. That's so weird. That day I went and I was so hungry and I got a cheeseburger and a cone and I went out, whatever, went home. It's pouring down rain, got in the camper. I remember my husband had a bad day that day. I went to bed. I was so tired that day. I
Mm.
went to bed, woke up in the middle of the night. It was like a whole movie. Woke up in the middle of the night. My water had broken. I was like, what is happening? Called the doctor. Alex is like, get in the golf cart. By the way, golf cart had to take us across the property to where the car was. So it was a whole, and I called the doctor and I'm like, okay, I think
Golly.
my water broke. They're telling me how to check it, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm an hour away. Are you sure? And my husband is literally like looking at me like, get in, like, you need to come in. We need to check you. I'm like, okay. So then I start trying to let my dogs out of the camper. Like, we're not ready for this. We're not ready because, first of all, my barn dominium's not done. Second, I don't have a baby bag. I don't have anything. Now, luckily, I'd had all my showers, and my sister-in-law had come in like a couple weeks before and like put stuff in bins in the shop. And two of my best friends had come and like help me organize things in bins in the shop. And she did have like a bag with a diaper bag, but it was like just stuff in there. She was like, let's just get this done in case. But it was like we had a month. And again, I was already planned to have a C-section so early. So like in your first one, you don't normally have them early anyways, right? So anyways, we go to we drive in to Dallas, which is an hour away, end up getting pulled over by a cop. It's 1 a.m, get pulled over because my husband's speeding. And I'm just sitting here, like I'm texting my best friend's husband, who's a doctor, the school that I worked at. He graduated. I'm like, hey, so like, how do you count contractions? I never took a birthing class. I never did anything because I was gonna have to see. I was not. I was like, I didn't even. I was like, okay, so like, how do you count contractions? Like, what do I do? By the time I got to the hospital, they were like 2 minutes apart, which I don't really know what that means, but
Oh,
they weren't they were like 2 minutes apart. So pulled over,
that's good.
and the cop like looks in and it's like, okay, like you're going the wrong way to the hospital. My husband's like, no, we need to go to Dallas because it's kind of a special situation. Like I needed to go to Dallas, right? And he's like, don't speed. Anyway, got there and we had
Don't
literally
speed.
don't speed. Well, we did, by the way. So sorry
Well,
for the
yeah.
law. Got there, got checked in. I was definitely in labor. They checked me in. I had no phone charger, no change of clothes, no diaper bag. We're just in the hospital. Dogs are in the camper. It was like literally like, okay. So there are a few times, there's like 3 times in my whole probably adult life that I kind of like panicked inside. I was like, I can't do this. This is like one of them that I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I remember laying there. They'd stopped labor so I could have C-section. My doctor came in the next morning, but I remember laying there and looking at him, and there's certain times you want your mom. And I remember just being
Mm.
like, I want my mom. Like, I don't think I can do this. It makes me
Mm.
emotional thinking about it because it was just like, are you kidding me? Um, anyways,
Yeah.
ended up having a really good friend go let our dogs out. My mother-in-law drove down from Corpus, bless her heart, and she stayed in the camper. You have to remember, it had been raining. Like it had been raining for like months. It's rainy season. She got my camper
Yeah.
totally cleaned, put the bassinet in. By the way, bassinet doesn't even fit in the room,
Wow.
is in the middle of the camper, all the things. I have this C-section at 8 o'clock in the morning. Um, and I would love to say that it went smooth, but I will tell you, whenever they went and did every like to do the procedure, her cord, it did go smooth, but her cord was wrapped around her neck.
Mm.
And so, like, thank God that my water broke a month
Yeah.
early. So that's a miracle, right? So I had some complications with the C-section, but I'm okay now. Like, we're okay. Had a couple scares, but anyways, had her little bitty little
Mm.
5 pound baby. Um, we did stay in the hospital an extra day because you could pay to do that. I wasn't ready to go
Yeah.
back to the camper. I was like, okay. Um,
Well, I was going to ask you if she
yeah,
had to be in ICU or in NICU or anything because she was so little, but it sounds like
right.
no.
No, she didn't.
Okay.
Luckily she did not, but they did come in every couple hours and have to like prick her foot to check it because they thought she might have to go. But luckily she did have jaundice. So they remember
Yeah.
they brought a machine in and like she had to
The
be in
hamburger
there. So
light.
like, yes, machine in. And I couldn't, the
Yeah.
only time I could like hold her for like the first 24 hours, like when I was feeding her. And that was hard, but we
That
made
is
it.
hard.
We made it. We
Yeah.
went home. The second time I thought I could make it, we got home. Imagine this, me and this little, 5 pound baby. She was 4 pounds, 12 ounces when we got home in a golf cart. He's driving me across the property back to the camper because it's so muddy between where our
Yeah.
house was going to be and where the camper was. You couldn't drive a car. So literally I have this newborn baby
Oh,
and me, and my stomach was hurting, like driving the golf cart across the property. I painted this picture for
oh,
you.
was it bumpy? Like
Yeah, it was
painful and
awful.
oh, golly, Jen.
And I remember, what's so funny is I remember after my because I had a C-section for my accident, right? So in my head, I'm like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, like this is gonna be great. At least I can walk. Like that
Oh
was my
yeah, true.
yeah. No,
Oh,
no, no,
your
it's not.
reference points in life make it a little more like, oh, I've been through this, so
Yeah, yeah.
this
Like I'm
should
gonna
be.
no, no. Being a postpartum mom of like a newborn baby, like no, no,
No,
no. This was like not
it's
the
so
same. By the
different.
way, not the same. Not the same. I
Well,
mean, hormonal.
they put that in your mind during your hip surgery, right? Like they told you you basically had a C-section. And so your mind like kind of put
Mhm.
them together when you actually
And they
okay.
use the same
And
scar
they're
and
like, no,
everything. And like the surgery was kind of the same, but it's definitely different
it's different.
having a baby, by the
Right.
obviously. Like
Yeah,
I
a
know
little
this now. I'm
different.
not like, yeah, it's like I have a human and I'm also in a camper. And I remember
Oh,
that this is the second time that I kind of had a moment. I was sitting there and at this time she was so small and she had jaundice. And so we were going in between. By the time I got home, we were breastfeeding, but then we had the milk because then they're also like worried how small she was. Like they were also doing the formula. It was a whole thing. I'm in a camper, whatever. And I get home
yeah.
and my mother-in-law did beautifully. Like everything was perfectly clean. There was a bassinet work like in the middle of the kitchen because it couldn't fit
Oh,
anywhere else. It was great. But I'm sitting there in my with this little human and I have four dogs in the camper just laying around, all my other babies, and it's pouring down rain. And I am like sitting there and I looked at Alex and I go, I can't do this. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. No sleep. And he looked at me, and this is not mom of the year, and I might be judged for this. He said, give me the baby, go lay down, go. And I went and laid. And for the first 5 hours that we were home, he took care of our child. And I went and slept for 5 hours. And ever since then, here we are.
I love it. I don't
Oh,
think that is any indication of
I don't
how
know.
good
I
of
have
a
guilt
mom
over
you
that.
are. Like, no, are you kidding me?
Oh
You had
my
just had
gosh.
surgery. You had just been through all the things. Your body
No, but
needed
I
a
should have been
rest. Your
like,
husband did the right thing, and you
and
didn't
I'm
do
in a
anything wrong.
camper. He's like, just get thank you. No, I mean, anyway, and that whole thing, we were only 2 weeks in the camper with her. And I could tell you some stories. But then by the time we actually moved into the barndominium, I wanted to go back to the camper because it was small and it was so easy to clean. So it's kind of just funny
Yeah.
how it just, you know what I mean? It's like dusty in here now. It's a whole that I could
Yeah.
literally, it makes me smile because and again, he was working full time. And it was kind of interesting too, because right before I had her, it's almost like sometimes your body knows, but I had like done a bunch of reports for work. And I literally, that day that it happened, gotten like basically everything kind of closed out with my students and my director, like early that I needed to for it all
Hmm.
to happen. I'm a very like career driven woman, as I really am. And so I was like, even like in labor, was like texting my boss, like, okay, this is this. And she's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm like, well, this
Yeah.
student needs this. And anyway, so that's kind
That's
of that
funny.
story. I don't know, kind of prolonged it, but it was just kind of the forefront of looking into the future, of pivoting and how God's perfect timing happens and all the things, like, so I'm looking around because one second. Yes, ma'am. You can go draw for a little bit, okay? Yeah, you can go draw for a little bit on your corner, okay? In the drawing corner. What? No painting right now.
Speaking of perfect timing,
Yes.
I love
Love
that.
you. I love you. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. And we're leaving that in. And I'll tell you another thing about perfect timing is we did not even try to plan it this way, but getting to tell her birth story right after you just celebrated her birthday, like that's
Oh,
amazing.
I
I love
love
it.
it. No, so
Yeah.
yeah, so looking back, I do say this to my husband. You can call me a lot of things in life. You can call me mean, other things maybe. You cannot ever call me high maintenance.
Right.
Because of that.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Because then
By
it
the
was
way,
funny
you
because,
oh, go
mhm.
ahead.
Oh, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say you left out the part about like postpartum. You said you were 2 weeks in the camper, but like I'm thinking you had to use a camper shower. to
Oh
like,
yeah.
when I came home, like I had my home and like my bathtub, like,
It was like a thing.
all the comforts and
It was
conveniences.
Now I will say, now by this time we had electricity and we had running water, but your showers, you had about 7 minutes that you had hot water.
Yep.
So like, and also, with surgery, I mean, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
C-section or natural, it's harder to move around, right? But then, so I literally had to time everything. So it was like seven
Yeah.
minutes. I'm telling you, we moved in here and I could take more than a 7 minute hot shower. Like my whole world. I'm telling you, like things happen that I'm so thankful for like
Yeah.
a bathroom and the things. And I remember going to the doctor after having her. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. And then they're like, oh wait, you're in a what? You're in a camper, and you just had a C-section with this like premature baby. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, okay, like,
Yeah.
but at the time, I didn't know any different. But now looking back, and now that I have, two bathrooms and her own bedroom and the things, I'm like, I don't know if I would do it again. It was fine. But obviously, looking back, like, it's not something that I would like choose to do
Yeah.
if I knew that
It's
was going to
probably
happen.
one of those things where like your brain doesn't even think about the other options because like you just have to do it, right? Like
Yeah.
you just have to deal
This,
with it. I
absolutely.
like that.
People do that in life all the time. Like,
Oh,
people
yeah.
are having kids, babies in tents and putting them in shoeboxes in different countries. This is nothing. I know that we're first world
I
problems, but
mean, yeah,
anyways,
look how
it
people live for probably a couple thousand a years. Like
exactly. I'm
people
not
used to
any
put their
exception.
infants in a drawer. That was like a common
Yes,
thing like two
exactly,
generations ago. But
exactly.
you're awesome. You're very tough. And I feel like too, like some of this probably isn't like shock factor for me because I like to camp and I like to be sometimes I like to camp or go do things just to
Hmm.
intentionally live without conveniences. And I kind of enjoy that better, but I don't know that I want it like long term. It's nice to have a home to come back to, but like going through all that with the pregnancy, with the C-section, and I have not had both, but I would bet that healing from a C-section is probably a lot harder than healing from natural birth because you have all that
Well, they
tissue that was
basically,
not
yeah.
supposed to be.
Yeah, they cut you. Well, yes, and that's why when you get 8 weeks off for a C-section, and for
Yeah.
the 6 weeks. But I will say, being in a camper, after about 11 days, I started walking again. Like out. I mean, I was
Yeah.
walking before. I'm talking like going on walks, and a lot of that mentally, and I think my running and my mental aspect of like moving every day really helped me recover
Mm.
faster. But also like my neighbors, actually, I was with a neighbor the other day, the one I was trading my sourdough for her chicken eggs. She was saying, yeah, my in-laws were here and they'd always see you walking around your property because I would walk around every day and pick up sticks. And they would see me, over the months, they would just see me walking and getting bigger. And I would go pick up sticks. And finally, one of my friends bought one of those stick picker uppers. But also, I had this goal of like getting 10,000 steps a day. But also, I was in a camper. So what was I supposed to do? Like just being a camper. And
Yeah.
if you know me, I'm not one to just sit around. And so, anyways, but I think all that
Yeah.
to say, you being a health coach as well, when you do get movement and take care of your body, not that you have to go be a heavy lifter or eat perfectly, but just getting movement, getting outside, lifting some weights, like that helps you. And I think it did help me recover from that as well. So
Yeah. And you
throwing
had
that in
already
there.
been through the shattered pelvis. So you have already
Yeah.
mentally been through the physical recovery thing
Yeah. I
for
wish I wouldn't
much
have
longer
compared
than
it
this
so
one.
much because I was like, oh, I got this. I'll be walking at least. But by the way, whoever's
It's a
listening,
little different.
surgeries with no children and having postpartum is completely different. It was because I was emotional. Your hormones are crazy. Like it was like a whole like you have this little
Yeah.
human you're trying to take care of. Anyway,
Probably
but there were
exhausted
yeah,
from breastfeeding.
yeah. Oh, I tried to do that, but then it got to a point where we had no dishwasher. We had all the things out. We're trying, and then she got jaundice again, and it was just awful.
Oh
There was
no.
times, so one of us had to sleep in the bed, and one of us had to sleep on the couch. And my little dog Cooper, who's like her best friend, would sleep under her bassinet. Well,
Oh,
Alex, he was always like, no, go in the bed. But me, I was like, no, I'm on the couch. We traded off like every few hours or whatever. And I remember getting
yeah.
stuck like because the camper chairs were lower. I would like get stuck to get up. And so he would have to help me like get up because I couldn't like
Oh,
bend up. There's
yeah.
so many stories from that time. But also like it makes me laugh now because It
Yeah.
was also fine. And honestly, when we moved into our actual barndominium, our actual homestead, I wanted to go back because I felt like it was too dusty. You know, the hormonal your mind is like, oh my gosh, it's so dusty and dirty in here. Like I want to go back to the camper. So
Yeah.
it all worked out perfectly fine. And now we spend our whole
Yeah.
time talking about my daughter's birth story. So I don't know. That's where we went to.
I love it. And little baby H is 5 now.
Yeah, she's
Happy,
good. And
happy
also,
birthday.
thank you so much. And also, is a precursor to the last 4 years of the hardships and the pivoting and the mindset that God has given me for the pivoting, for the changing, being grateful. I really think almost losing her and then having her be born, that will set the precedent for the last few years of our lives with the other losses and what that's done to be able to come to the unbrokenness of now and being able to be grateful
Mm,
even after other losses for sure.
yeah, for
So,
sure. Well, thank you, Jen. So,
yeah, well,
anybody that's listening, the next episode, maybe next one or two, but probably next
it's,
episode, will be kind of wrapping up the journey as
yeah,
to present.
yeah. I love you,
I
Jamie.
mean, I'm not rushing you. I'm just saying,
No, I
like,
think we're good.
stay
I mean,
tuned.
yeah, it makes me laugh. It's so funny. We don't really plan this, and here we are just babbling about.
It always works out.
All right.
I love you.
I love you too. You have a good
Thank
afternoon.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We truly hope this episode has touched your heart.
If someone came to mind while you were listening, please feel free to share this with them.
And if you have any questions or feedback for us, you can reach us at allthingsunbrokenpodcast@gmail.com.
Have an awesome day.